guys, Sabrina here. I wanted to do a little video to share with you guys one of the things that have happened in my life that was a huge thing that I overcame and that I look back on in my life and I look at it and I think, you know what? That was a huge accomplishment and I'm very proud of it. And over the last year, I have been going through a journey of personal development and self-discovery and finding out how to use things like the law of attraction and just how to attract more abundance in my life. And I've been learning how to change my paradigm, which is basically your subconscious mind, so that you can get better results in your life. And so I just wanted to share a video with you that is me sharing with you a huge accomplishment that I am very proud of, that I look back on and I realize, you know what? That was the law of attraction. That was a lot of the things that I'm trying to apply in my life right now. I have done it in different times in my life. I can look back at these laws that I'm learning about now, and I can see that it's true because of things that have happened in my life, and I was applying the law of attraction without even realizing it. So enough about of why I'm sharing the story with you. The story starts out as, you know, my upbringing, okay? So I'm going to try to make this really short and sweet and leave out all the gory details, but give you the important information. So basically, I'll start out by saying I'm 39 years old and I have a handsome, smart, talented, responsible young man of a son who's 24. So when you do the math, you realize that I was but a child still when I gave birth to my first son. And so anyway, this story is sharing with you some of the details about how I survived teen pregnancy and teen parenting, and how I've ended up looking back at that as a cherished memory, and the fact that, you know, we're both alive and he is such a successful and responsible young man is huge credit to the fact that you can do anything you set your mind to. So anyway, I had a very turbulent childhood. We moved, by the time I was 14, we had probably moved 17 or 18 times. I wasn't in the same school district for more than 1 year. And if I was in the same school, it was simply because we moved, but we happened to stay in that same school district. So I never was able to set my roots down. My mom was basically a single mom. There was a stepfather in my life for you know, a few years, but, you know, they divorced and he went on his way, and he ended up actually passing away very shortly after my mom and him divorced. So anyway, basically, you know, I was looking for love in all the wrong places as a young girl who really was trying to find herself. You know, my mom did the best she could raising 3 children as a single mom, but, you know, she wasn't aware of, you know, all the things that I'm aware of now. And so anyway, I got into a long-term, very serious, involved relationship with a young man who was 4 years older than me at the very young age of 13. And so I was in a very intense, mature relationship, probably less than a year after we started going out, is what we called it back when I was a kid. You know, we did become involved physically, and it was, you know, not long after that I ended up pregnant. And so it was hard. It was really hard. I thought I had a solid partner by my side. My son's father was right with me. You know, we really had planned to actually get married, and what happened was we went to my mom and we explained to her that there would be a baby, and she offered several things to me. The first off was obviously termination, which I was absolutely against that. I was determined that I helped create this child. I will take care of this child, no matter how hard it was. And she then offered to raise my son as if he was her own, and I could just treat him like a sibling of mine. And I absolutely rejected that. And I was actually very upset with her for even offering either of those options. And but anyway, we carried on. What ended up happening is I moved out. This was probably April or May when we approached my mom and told her. When school was out that year, I moved out of my mother's home and moved in with my then boyfriend. And you know, I turned 15 that summer. I turned 15 in August. Just towards the end of my pregnancy, my son was born in November. Towards the end of that pregnancy, his dad started kind of flaking out on me and running around, didn't want anything to do with me. So I ended up moving back with my mom for a very short time, and was at her home during the time that I actually delivered my son, which was a whole crazy, chaotic story there, and like his birth and all that. And those first couple weeks right after his birth were crazy, and near-death experiences on several occasions. And it was just a really rough start. And the relationship I had with his dad was falling apart. So it was just a really, really hard time. Again, I turned 15 in August. My son was born in November. What happened over that time frame was I was in 9th grade actually when my son was born. And what happened back then, 9th grade was in with the middle schools and not part of high school. So the public school system didn't want me in the middle school with the younger kids and sent me to an alternative school, which was very nice because that first year when I had him, you know, the workload was a lot lighter. Academically, it wasn't quite as challenging. They're trying to keep these high-risk kids in school. So I was thankful for that, and so I was able to attend that school for that first year that he was born. But the next year, so I was in 9th grade that whole year in the alternative school, which is when I was hugely pregnant and then delivered my son, and then I finished out that year there. After my son was born, my mom had a nervous breakdown and was hospitalized in a different city. And she was pretty much incapable of living on her own for at least a year after that. So that first year that I had him was pretty crazy. My mom was completely unavailable. Forget about financially. She wasn't even available emotionally to help me in any kind of way. And, you know, my dad and stepmom lived in the same city, but, you know, my dad was, never had a relationship with him. But my stepmom was pretty helpful. And, you know, so over the next few years, it was really rough. But I had decided when I was pregnant with my son that I would absolutely not become a statistic. I was not going to drop out of school. I would finish school and I would have my high school diploma. And that was a decision that I simply made, not realizing how hard it was going to be. But I was, you know, nothing was going to deter me. I was just adamant. I had made my mind up, you know, and there was no changing it. And so at the end of my 9th grade year, I wanted to go back to the regular school system. I wanted to be more challenged. I wanted to academically prepare myself to be able to go to college or university. Before I had my son, I had huge plans to go off to college and to become a lawyer, believe it or not. Obviously, that didn't happen. But, you know, I struggled through, and honestly, I don't even know how I made it work. I honestly, you know, between, you know, living with friends, or I did live off and on with my dad and stepmom, and I lived off and on with my son's grandmother, on his dad's mom. She helped me out quite a bit. Now, between her and my stepmom, they babysat for me to go to school or work. They did not babysit for me to go out and hang out with my friends, go run the streets, and go do anything that normal teenagers do. And so it was pretty hard. It was really hard. And the day I turned 16, I got a job. And so all through most of my sophomore year, my junior year, and the half of my senior year, I was a working single mom, still going to school in high school. Now, my junior year, I had other friends who actually quit school and went and got their GEDs, and then they went on to start taking college classes when I was going back to finish my senior year. That was really hard, and I really felt like, you guys are cheating the system. This isn't fair. You guys are taking the easy route. But you know what? I just was not going to deter. I just wanted my high school diploma. That was a huge thing to me. Very few people on either side of my family actually had high school diplomas, so that was really important to me. And I just was determined. And so what happened was 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, never took a study hall, or even my senior year, no study halls. That's not allowed. And I took summer school every single year to pick up every credit I possibly could. I was really lucky because my junior year I was able to take a class that involved giving you a couple of extra credits if you actually were employed, and you got more credits depending on your employment status. So I always worked more than 30 hours, so I was able to pick up 3 credits for that class, 1 credit for the class work, and 2 credits for my hours that I worked. And, I remember a time, probably, I can't remember if it was 10th or 11th grade, and we're staying in a house that was actually out of my school district, but because I was moving around so much, the school didn't really know where I was, and I absolutely was not going to quit school, clearly, but because I was out of district, I didn't have access to the public school bus system. And so what I was doing for about 6 months of high school was I lived on the other end of the city when I was supposed to be going to a different high school. I actually would wake up about 4 a.m. I'd hop on a bus. The bus stop was probably about a half mile from me, and this was winter time in Missouri, and it can get pretty cold here. I mean, there's mornings when it's 5 degrees outside. And so during the winter, I would have to hop on the bus around 4:30 a.m., ride it all the way across town. The bus system took probably an hour or so to get to school, but I was taking a 0 hour because I was trying to pack in as much credits as I could, and that was the year I was doing a half day, so it must have been early. It must have been in my junior year. And so, I was just determined. I was going to do what I needed to do, and so 4 o'clock in the morning, walk to this bus stop at 4:30 in the morning in the winter, ride the city bus to school, do my first 5 hours, 0 hour through 4th hour, and then I would leave work. Leave school, go spend a couple of hours with my son, and then I would go to work. And I always worked from about 3 to 9 or 4 to 10, something like that. And I had that job all the way through 10th and 11th grade. And it was, I look back on it and I just cannot even believe I survived those years. They were so crazy, and life was not nice to me those years. It was rough in a lot of ways. I'm very thankful for government assistance because that's what kept diapers on my son and helped to get food in his tummy, and I was on welfare, and I'm not proud of it, but you know what? It helped us to survive. And anyway, this story's gotten a little longer than I wanted it to, but I just wanted to share with you, that you can go through really, really hard times, and you can survive them, and you can become a better person, a stronger person. It's all about your mindset. Like, I didn't know anything back then. I knew nothing back then, but I just was driven by a desire to get that high school diploma, and nothing was going to deter me. And I was also driven to be able to take care of and provide for my son. And they were huge driving factors and driving forces that kept me going no matter how hard it got. And so, as I'm learning how to overcome bigger obstacles in my life, like earning my first $1 million, I think back on those things and just realize, what? Everything in life is nothing but a decision. It's a decision that you make with the desire to achieve whatever it is that you have your mind on. And, I'm living, breathing proof that desire and persistence will pay off. You just set your mind to it and you just go after it. It doesn't matter what gets in the way. You'll find a way to make it work, And so, I know that we go through things so that we can learn from them. Back then, when I was a kid and going through all that stuff, I didn't know that. I had no idea. But now that I'm more aware of things and I understand a lot more about life, I realize that you can really do anything you set your mind to do. There's nothing too big. You just do it, And so anyway, if you can relate to any of my story and you want to learn how you can take your desire and making a decision and turn it into a massive life-changing system, let me know. I mean, there's so many things out there that can propel you forward, and there are little things that we do, just little changes that we can make in our life can change your outcome so much. And so I want to connect with you. I want you to know that my desire is to help others find their true potential. And I can't tell you enough how much I'm wanting to connect with others, to encourage you and to inspire you and to, help you along the way and show you different resources that you can, consume, and you can change your life. You really can. I mean, earning $1 million, I'm going to do it. It's not going to be very long in the future before I hit that goal. And I'm just so excited to be able to share with you the things that I've learned over the last year so that you can set and achieve the goals that you have. We all have different goals, and we all now have different driving reasons of why we do what we do. And so I want you to know that you matter, you deserve it, you're worthy of the abundance that you desire, and I want to help you get there. So if you want to know more about me, my journey, and how I can help you, click the button below this video, and I want to connect with you, and I'll get in touch with you. Thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you were able to find something helpful in this video, and I look forward to chatting with you again soon.